Time for the Friday Free Kick with our buddies from Beyond Goals. So, Greg, where actually are you? Are you in Texas?
Yes, sir.
So, visiting family and making sure that you get to take the family tours and everything. So, how is Texas? ?
Texas is great. I'm sacrificing my body right now to get bit by tons of mosquitoes so I don't wake my I'm just kidding. I don't wake my kids up.
I was like, wait a minute. So I should have just given you some dryer sheets or something to be out there with you.
Well, we have to in my parents' neighborhood, you have to be in your house by like 8:30, 9 p.m. because they found a case of West Nile
Whoa!
Not too long ago. So hopefully I'm safe, man. I just sprayed this all over me, man.
Wow.
But yeah. Mosquitoes are bad here, man. They are, and I don't know what it is that you have to have. No, it's your blood type. It's your blood type. I'm O positive, so I think O positive is I mean, mosquitoes love me, man.
Well, and that they do me as well. I couldn't tell you what my blood type is to save my life at any point.
That's an important thing. That's an important thing to know, man.
Oh, I know. But when I had family reunions in Minnesota, and the joke in Minnesota is that the mosquito is the state bird because it is so prevalent, and land of 10,000 lakes and all that kind of stuff. Had a family reunion, literally, and to your point, outside at dusk, and this kind of skin tone and mosquitoes. I was like the lighthouse on the pier, man. They're like, ooh, let's go and grab him. And so literally I had mosquito bites, like 50 to 75 mosquito bites all over me. And I had to go inside, and it was just like red, welt. So I know with what you're talking about.
That's how it is right now, for sure. Yeah, so I just saw somebody put in Paris, Texas. No, I'm not in Paris, Texas. Dallas, Texas. I wish I was in Paris for the Olympics, but that's another story. I do have a lot of mentees that are actually there, which is a pretty cool experience.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So what are the conversations like with the mentees about their experience?
Can we change lives for about a few weeks?
There you
That
go.
was no, just I think I always tell people, the best experiences I think I had, even as a professional athlete, was just to be able to travel the world and see different cultures, experience different lives that people live. I recommend that to anyone. There is no better education than seeking out how others live life. I think it can teach such valuable lessons. For me, I think the biggest lesson it taught me was just the simplicity of life. Right? It's trying to always find happiness. I think you and I have talked about it, and I always speak to mentees. The two main things we must seek is happiness and love. And I think for me, going and traveling the world and seeing how others live, it teaches you a lot about those two words, for sure.
Well, but in this day and age, and I know that we're going like deep right off the beginning here, but how difficult is it to maintain those two things, knowing A, the environment that we're in these days, B, how competitive things can be, and C, the idea of, okay, I want to be competitive. I want to achieve whatever's at the mountaintop of your self-imposed mountaintop. How difficult is it to have those two things of happiness and love? How difficult is that these days? I imagine it might be a different task to grab both of those rings for adults and for mentees.
Very, very difficult, right? It's not an easy task. I think that's why they always say it's what we seek. That's what we always seek. It's what we always are looking for, and sometimes they can be hard to come by. But I mean, I think there are tools to try and get there, and I think that's why I think traveling and seeing other lives that are in other places can teach you. You can learn valuable lessons from it. I mean, I think for me, moving to Brazil at a young age was a valuable lesson for me. It was the simplicity of the life that they lived, and even doing cookouts on the weekends when you look and you see, okay, these people don't have much, but it's they still are able to be happy with what's in front of them, and I think that's a valuable lesson that I learned at a very young age for sure.
Do you still keep in contact with a lot of the folks that you've met in these different environments when you were younger? Do you still reach out to them? Or are you still, Facebook friends or whatever these days? How deep are
Yeah,
those?
I don't do Facebook, but yeah, I for sure. I have friends that I played with whenever I was. It's interesting. I was at a house party the other night, a birthday party with one of my mentees' parents, and I mean, tons of people there. They're very fortunate. Let's just say that they're very fortunate. And there was this guy that was sitting down, and he started speaking Portuguese to me, and I had absolutely no idea who this guy was. Um, and he's actually, I believe he is the head coach now for, is it Atlanta City? Is that one of the teams?
Okay.
Is that one of the amateur teams in Atlanta right now for
It's,
its is it UPSL or whatever?
I'll dig it up, but I'll take your word
You'd
for it.
have to. Oh, I thought you would for sure know all the. It's like all these different teams that they have. But he started speaking Portuguese to me, and he said, "Hey, do you know this one guy?" And I was like, "Hey, you gotta show me a picture of him." And then, sure enough, he showed me a picture of him. And this guy I played with when I played for Sao Paulo. It was his cousin, and it's such a small world, man. And so it's obviously meeting people like that and just kind of reminiscing and remembering people that were friends way back in the day. I think that is the beauty of soccer as well. You get to meet so many interesting people and find ways to connect with people. I think that's one thing that for anybody who is retiring in the professional sport environment, you have to realize that connections are so vital for the rest of your life. um, don't be the guy who is segregated or separate from everybody, just always kind of in your own world, because when you do hang the boots up, whatever you decide to do in your next life, it all comes down to the great relationships and connections that you made. And I'm sure it's like that for anything in life, right? But it does play a massive role, because I think a lot of guys within professional environment, you get lost in just focusing on what's yours, and you kind of forget to make those valuable connections that will help you in the future. So I think that's one great thing that at least I thought about. I was very open minded, and always wanted to get to know people to their core, to not only build camaraderie, but also that's what helps all of us at the end of the day.
Yes, UPSL Atlanta City. You were correct in that.
There we go.
When it comes to, you mentioned Paris and mentees and all of this kind of stuff. I know that I'm kind of drifting in and out of topics this morning, when guests come in, but I don't know if you've been keeping up to date with what's been going on with Canada Soccer and the chaos that's going on there on the women's team, and drones and people being sent home and all of those kinds of things that you're not supposed to do that they are doing, and apparently it's very, very pervasive and just not cool on a bunch of different levels. When you have conversations with mentees, how deep does it get into the do's and don'ts, and how you present yourself and what you should do as an individual, and the rights and wrongs of etiquette and things like that? How deep is it when you get off the field conversations? How deep are those moments that you guys have?
I am a firm believer that you must do anything you can to try and win, but not cheat.
Mhm.
That is my only piece of advice there. Do whatever you can to do it to win. I know that we are all extremely competitive, right? Some more than others. I am a very competitive person. I want to beat you at ping pong today. I want to beat you at shuffleboard. I want to kick your ass at pool.
You
right?
want to beat me in the door when we're getting coffee.
Yeah. And exactly. Those are the things. I mean, I always tell people, be my guest at ping pong, pool, or shuffleboard, because I was an academy kid my whole entire life. So that's all we did besides play soccer was ping pong, shuffleboard, and pool. So I'm pretty darn good at all three of those. But for me, it's like anything you can to do to win. I always tell mentees when I tell them my strengths, right? I always tell them I was a gladiator on the field. If I were to get one major compliment whenever I walk around and people recognize me, people always say, man, I just remember how much you hustled and how much you just would let your body on the line to block a shot or anything. And that's the type of player that I would do anything to win. But never cheat, right? That's got to make you feel very uncomfortable. And I mean, imagine what they're going through right now in terms of, I think one of the worst words is embarrassment, right? That's got to be a terrible term to feel upon yourself, is feel embarrassed. Nobody wants to feel embarrassed. So it's a tough situation to be in. You got to do whatever it takes to win, but never cheat.
When it comes to you becoming that gladiator, I guess first and foremost, were you always that way? Was that something that was developed? Did you just make a decision? It's like, I've got to do this and I have to be this way to succeed. How did you become that gladiator out there on the field? What was the thought process?
I think that comes from just being born that way, honestly. My middle child is the exact same way. I had this conversation with my parents the other day, and it was interesting. I remember a few days ago, since we just got here a couple of days ago. I remember, I think my parents have home videos of when I was 4 years old. I had just started, and I was playing up. They let me play in the, I guess, under 5, U5, and I think I had just turned 4. And I think there is a video of I get the ball off kickoff and I dribble straight to goal and I score. And then I get back and I put my foot on the halfway line and they kick off. I go and steal the ball and then I score again. And then the next play, the coach comes over and the coach is holding me by the collar and won't let me go to get the ball and steal it and score. He's holding me by the collar to hold me back. And I think it's just such a funny video because I was already like, I was in for the kill, man. I wanted to get that ball and just score. Right? I played forward way back in the day, right? My middle son is exactly like, he's like, I guess it's in the genes. He's exactly like, he does not care if it is 15-0. He is going to be like, his face, he's in for the kill, man. He is so concentrated, so focused that if you give him that chance to grab that ball, he doesn't care. He's going to take the whole team. He's going to score. I guess that's how I was from when I was just a little boy. And it's such a funny video because the coach is literally, there's no way in the world you could get away with that in today's world. I don't think I could hold the kid by his collar and just watch this kid just hold him.
I just have this vision. I just have spinning your wheels, man. You're like 4 inches off the ground and you're trying to get away from that collar.
Yep. So that's it's really funny to think back that actually happened to me as a really little boy when I had first started playing soccer. I think my team was called the King Cobras. So that was I guess that's something that I was just I always had in me.
Can you learn that behavior or does it have to be in you?
Man, I think it's I think you can teach what we call, I always talk about it because it's like, I think you and I have talked about it before, the Bielsa philosophy, the Tata philosophy, the Pep Guardiola philosophy, the Johan Cruyff philosophy, right? Philosophical method behind it, the lunatic mentality. We in Atlanta in 2017, 2018, we had that lunatic mentality. I remember Tata would always tell us, look, whenever you play, I want the other team to think that we are absolute crazy. We're going to press with 9, and the only person we're going to keep back is Parky. And I'm sure Parky, and excuse my language, I'm sure Parky was probably shitting bricks.
There's the explicit rating for the morning show.
Yeah. playing 1v2, and he's the center back, sweeper keeper, two forwards there with him, and we were pressing with the whole team. But there were so many moments. I can just remember a particular game against Real Salt Lake in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody remembers that game. I think Brandon Vasquez even came in and scored. That was like maybe one of his first games. Um, I think we won the game, if I'm not mistaken, 4-0. And I think three of those goals we had won the ball from, I believe it was like Justin Glad who gave the ball away, and Nick Ramondo who had gave like two balls away, but because of how intensely crazy we pressed. And nobody did that when they played away, right? Nobody really pressed that similarly to the way we did. And I think that was something that I think Tata had instilled in us, and I think that's something that you can't teach, because I don't think every player had come into that situation with an open mind, and that's something Parky always talks about, being adaptable. Right? He had already been a professional for what, 14 years. 14 years before he came to Atlanta United, and there's no way in heck that he had ever experienced a coach to kind of make him think, that philosophical method of being a lunatic on the field. I love giving the lunatic mentality example to kids when we do video analysis, especially for forwards or wingers, or people who play up top who don't really think that way. They think defending has to come from the defenders, and they have to be the ones to create and score opportunities. But it's interesting when you can help them understand that it can change things. So I do think there are things that are just I like to say God given, right? But at the same time, I think you can teach little bits and pieces of it to help people.
Sorry, I just have this vision now of Parky being back there by himself in a 1v2 situation, and him being creative, shall we say, about getting through the situation. you
Yeah.
put that in my brain now when it comes to
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean, you're talking about one of the most experienced, and that's why I always say I loved watching experienced players. I mean, he figured out a way to deal with that, right? That's what great players do. Great players can adapt to any situation, and that's the beauty of it. So, I mean, I look at Jeff Larentowicz as another one of those guys who just adapted to so many different situations, in places that I don't think he had ever played before. And I think Tata understood that he was able to get that out of certain players, even including myself. I think in certain ways, I look back at those 2 years of my career, and I think, man, they got so much out of me. They got so much out of me, and in terms of a revival. A revival. Okay, somebody, yeah, Miss Abster put the final score 3-1. There you go.
Yep.
Alba Assad and
Yeah.
Vasquez.
Yeah. By the way, you got a yellow in that match.
I did. I hacked the crap out of. I believe it was. I know he was Scandinavian. I want to say he was like Norwegian or Danish, maybe Swedish. Oh yeah, I think he had just. I think he had just done something to Yamil. I think I told Yamil I'd get him back for him. So that was that was the gladiator. That was the gladiator mentality, wanting to step up for others. And yeah, I remember I did hack him pretty well. That was a very deserved yellow, but stepping up and trying to defend one of my teammates was more important for me at that time.
Yeah, and there was some dude on the right hand side with the name of Brooks Lennon who was in that match as well. But yeah, three Brooks, and so you get a yellow, and lunatic mentality happened in RSL, and I find it's interesting to hear you talk about being a lunatic, which I know that you are in every aspect of your life, because you want to succeed in everything that you do, and you attack it with that same kind of fever and fervor. When you understand that something can be done, should be done, you now apply that to what you're doing off the field, and I think that stays with you. I think that lunatic or whatever, all of those things that are with you, being a gladiator, it stays with you. And I think it helps in your transition to what you're doing off the field once you're done. I would think anyway.
Yeah. There's always a balance, right? I mean, I woke up this morning at 6 a.m. and already went on my run. I already worked out. I already did everything while everybody is still sleeping. I think that part of the lunatic mentality will always remain. But at the same time, it's also finding a balance with it as well. I think there is. I will always preach that the first time I heard that U.S. Soccer Scout give me those four selves, like that is something that I look back in my career, and I look back I look into now, and I see how important they are, and in every single way possible, of just understanding the discipline behind things, even in my my new job and my everything that we have, but it's also still finding a balance. And I think that that is what allows me to still travel and be with my girlfriend in times of important moments, and be with family here now. It's I still am able to grind and have that lunatic mentality, but have the balance of both worlds, is extremely important.
Another handful of minutes with Greg Garza as he dodges mosquitoes in Dallas, Texas this morning on the Friday free kick. When it comes to I love it when we can get into the four selves, and I love when we can spend time on all four of them. But let me ask you this: when it comes to your mentees and individuals of that particular age and the four selves, is there one of the selves that is normally the first one that they can check off when you watch the four selves go into younger people? Is there one of the four selves that is easier for them to jump into so they can attack 2, 3, and 4? Or does it vary from individual to individual?
I think it is totally custom tailored. It is totally custom tailored to what that individual is. But if there is one that we focus on more, Parky and I have a webinar with a club coming in the next couple of weeks, and the one thing that the marketing company that we have now partnered with, and that coach asked us to focus on, and they just asked us, what is the most sought subject within mentorship, um, and I said it's self-belief, it's confidence. Confidence is the most sought subject within every individual that I think we've worked with. Now, there are, I would probably say, like, less than 5% of kids, and that's just a guess off the top of my head, that feel totally confident and want to focus on something else. But I think that self belief is by far one of the most sought things from young individuals, and I think that's just because of the world that we live in today. Um, I remember myself as a young boy being extremely confident, maybe a little bit too much when I was really young. But I feel like whenever I became a professional, that's when I think having those judgment, and I think critical and criticism moments, um, of others, I think probably made me kind of have those bouts of confidence, those up and down moments. But I think kids these days are already, like, they feel so judged already. They feel so criticized in different ways, whether it be by parents, coaches, friends, social media. They're always looking, they're looking for likes, right? They're looking for views. They're looking for different things. And so I think that self belief and confidence, that is my why towards why kids feel that's such a hard thing to come by. Um, I don't think when we were kids we didn't have that issue. I didn't have too many people in my circle to really care about how I did, or what I did. Right, I had very few people in my circle that I really cared about what their judgment was of me, and I think today that circle is just so much bigger in kids' worlds today.
So then, with the idea of the lunatic mentality and confidence, let me ask it this way: does being confident help you in being a lunatic, or can being a lunatic help you become more confident? Does one play off of the other better in any direction, or is it a happy blend when you are a confident person and someone taps you on the shoulder and says, I know you can be a lunatic? Or if you're already a lunatic, then having that person put their arm around you and sit there and go, okay, you need to lay into that and be confident about being a lunatic. How do those two play to one another, do you think?
I think it is so much easier to be the lunatic first to lead up to confidence. And that's what I always tell kids, right? And I guess that lunatic mentality, you can go into like self-discipline, right? Self-discipline leads to more confidence, in my personal opinion. It is not self-belief goes into self-discipline. Self-discipline leads to confidence. When you put in the work and when you are extremely disciplined and committed and dedicated and consistent with things, that in turn leads to feeling better about yourself. I think all kids should live by that, and I preach that. You know, you can't you should be able to look back and say, okay, I did this, I checked this, check this off, check this off the list today. I feel great. I feel like I can conquer it today. More so than I feel confident I should be able to go do all these things. I think it works better the other way.
Did you make your bed this morning?
Not yet, but I will because the kids are still sleeping in the bed. So
okay. I didn't.
I gotta. I'm on a little pull out with my youngest, and my older two are on the top. So, yeah, that's the other room is my parents are. I tell people that I think I've told you before. They're professional eBayers. So the other room is their other room is their eBay office.
Professional eBayers. Okay.
They are professional eBayers. Yep, they're professional estate sale eBayers.
Wow.
Now that they're retired, that's all they do.
Wow.
Yeah. Every day is a different estate sale, and they find really cool artifacts and things that you could never imagine would sell on eBay, and they sell them on eBay.
Okay.
They haggle the price at the estate sale, and then do wonders with it on eBay, man. It's believe it or not, dude, you should see how many people are at these estate sales doing the exact same thing. You have to have an eye for it. There's a talent for it, I guess. I guess my mom has a good eye for it.
So your mom's a lunatic when it comes to eBay?
That's all she does all day, man. She helps us administrate Beyond Goals mentoring, and she's a professional eBayer. She's all day on the computer, man. They get up and walk all of our dogs, 2 times a day, and then if she's not doing that, she's on the computer administrating Beyond Goals mentoring and being a professional eBayer.
All right. So what's going on with the Beyond Goals we need to know about?
Yeah, just hopefully we have some very exciting news. Just doing some things around with Atlanta and not Atlanta United, but Atlanta as a city, and working closely with a lot of kids who could use mentorship in their lives, and some kids that have nothing to do with soccer, but just really using the importance of holistical mentorship and guiding them the right way, providing them with access and opportunity. So that's something that we have in the works right now, and a project that we have going on leading up into 2026, because I know I can't say the name of what's going to happen in 2026, but yeah. But yeah, that's obviously a huge project that we have going on right now, and continuously trying to grow. I guess I would say if anybody would be interested in helping that project launch, obviously it is done from a nonprofit viewpoint. So it's a 2-year project, and it's going to be something that is pretty special.
As always, and it's great to see how Beyond Goals continues to grow, and we're looking forward to the world coming to chase after a cup in 2026. A bunch of different countries coming here to this one to see who's going to be the best in the world. As always, my friend, get out of the mosquitoes and get back inside and go drink your coffee. Great to see you, my friend.
Thank you, my man. Appreciate it. Always good to see you, bud.